All right, I think we're live. Um, yeah, just coming back from a little break from streaming, so uh, I wanted to just pop in and say hello. I don't know if you can tell with my voice, but I was sick the last week, so I just needed the extra rest, and also I had been traveling, so I had some jet lag and stuff. So the previous week I was on vacation, and then this last week I was dealing with being sick. So yeah, I did do some game development, but I did not stream it because I didn't think people wanted to watch me blow my nose and stuff. So wanted to hop on the stream real quick, give people an update, and let you know what I was working on. So one thing that I was working on was there is this animator and game dev who's been creating kind of like a 3D side scroller game, and he posted kind of randomly. I don't know. I guess maybe he had a lot of other kind of updates on his channel a while ago, but he created this like procedural dungeon tutorial. If it's worth showing up. Oh, we don't have. Well, you probably don't want to hear the audio on this anyway. Let's go here. All right, that's an ad, but as soon as that's done, I'll show you. Yeah, he created a procedural dungeon. Why is that? It's like permanently stuck in the ad. Hold on. There we go. Tutorial, which it was like very long. How do I find it? Here, I'll just show his channel. Here we go. Let's go here. All right, so this is the YouTuber here, fellow YouTuber, Reanimation and Gaming. So you'll see he's got a bunch of tutorials, but a lot of it's just like his updates for his game, and then he has a little bit of stuff on like Blender animation and stuff. I guess he has a little bit. I don't know. I think these are all devlogs though. Yeah. So every now and then he has a little bit of kind of more blendery type stuff. But then he did these two things, and he made a follow up because I think he just got 20K views, right? About procedural dungeons, and I've made a procedural dungeon from kind of like what he did. I cobbled together a bunch of different different kind of YouTube tutorials, and I created kind of like a like I think it's called like a stepper. I can show you the version that I made. Oh, I have to do it here. Let's see all the crazy prototypes and stuff I made. Okay, so like I have this one here. So it uses like I started off with I think like Unreal University's top down like kind of zombie shooter tutorial. So that's what you'll see in here, but then I have this empty space, and this was like, oh, that's pretty loud. Is it loud for you? Let's see. Oop. So I have zombies. Here, I'll just bring their desktop line down. Actually, there's no. Okay, you can hear it a little bit. All right, so I think I've demoed this before, but let's just do simulate here. So you can kind of see I just made these rooms, right? And they're all connected, and this will generate a new thing each time. And there's some cool stuff about this. Like one cool thing about this is I have like rooms being filled out. I've got rooms that are spawner rooms, and then I also have a solve for start and end. All right. Cool, but the thing that this guy recreated, just the way he did exits and stuff and how it worked, it supports like different size rooms and things, and I did mine on kind of like an array. So, so I went through his process, and the reason why I'm doing this is because in the samurai game, I'm thinking of kind of rogueliking it a little bit. So I'd like to have procedural levels. So yeah, if I do procedural levels, then I can have a lot of levels. So that's kind of my thought process there. This is not like what the samurai levels will look like. This is more of a dungeon. But anyway, I took what this guy Ree was showing off, and I kind of ran with it a little bit, and I also kind of added a few of my ideas. Some of the like ways that he does the checks for different rooms and stuff. I had kind of a couple different ideas too, so I added my own kind of pre-checks for rooms so that I didn't have to like spawn a room and then delete it all the time. Sometimes I just figure out that the exit doesn't work no matter what. So just to make it a little bit more performant. And you'll see, okay, so here's just like a blank level, right? But I have it set to like 10 rooms, which isn't a lot, but it's really fast. So now I have a little mini dungeon here. And I think there's one other thing that I did with my old dungeon generator, which is I have like the randomizing and the seed generation in it. And one thing I noticed, I think that this creates the same string of dungeons every time. So like if you start the game, it's like automatically seeded. Might be seeded different on your computer, but on mine it always seems to create this kind of flow. But I have some controls in here to like debug, so we just deleted it. And we have a new level. This one's a little different, I think, right? Delete. Yeah, so you can see I only have like a 4x4 room, a hallway, and a staircase room, I think. I have two staircase rooms. I have one up and one down. So, and you'll see up there those blue arrows, and you'll see that in Ree's tutorial as well. That those are like the exits that we're like tracking. So, and eventually I'll have them so that those things will get closed off. But I think I'm going to take this prototype that I've created, and after I get the seed generation stuff worked out, I'm going to start importing it into the samurai game and make it for the samurai game level, which is more like outdoor levels rather than this dungeon, right? But this is pretty cool. I could do a lot of stuff with this too. So yeah, you can see they're connected. You can go run around and go back up. That was one thing that they're not always connected, but having like these staircases that can go down and then you can connect to them and go back up again. That was like actually a little tricky to figure out, but yeah. So that's the random dungeon generator that I was working on while I was sick. And yeah, let's see what we can exit out. Oh yeah, so that was like just like the simple 10 room thing, right? So I have some more debug stuff I can add by pressing page up. I can add, so you can see on the top left it just says rooms to generate 40. So like we can go pretty crazy with this if we wanted to. I can do like 100. And you'll also see that it takes about the same amount of time to generate the 100 rooms. Let's do 125, and it will actually do like 126 or 127 because I think the array itself is 0 based, and then also we have a start room, so I think it does 152 rooms. But I don't know. I didn't really care about too much accuracy there, but I will when I get to the samurai game stuff. and as you see, I press the button once and it literally just makes this giant dungeon. Okay, so one thing is with this dungeon, you can only see like a little bit of it, but there's 150 rooms here, and the reason is because we have stairs, right? So this is a multi-level, so you'll go down, 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 down. So I can actually have a little quick thing where I can jump into a spectator by pressing 1 on this prototype, and we'll just zoom out and you can see kind of the extent of this maze here. And this works with, you can see it works with different style connectors and stuff. The one way this works the best though is if they're kind of the same, like at least the same length. I started experimenting with like different lengths for the rooms, and that sort of throws off, like you might not be able to like loop around, whereas this is all loopable. So even like this one here, well, I guess this isn't the same length. I thought it was. But anyway, like this is not connecting to that, but it can anyway because they don't have connections. But yeah, so that's one of the concerns, is trying to figure out what the length connections are. Like this is pretty cool, right? You got 2 hallways that connect, and then you go to a room, and the room has a staircase. Yeah. I also tried like a circular room and things like that. So I think part of what's good about this is that you can create a dungeon or a random map that has different size rooms, different types of rooms, and things like that. You don't have to work on a grid per se, anyway. So I'm still experimenting. This is kind of a neat thing, right? The other thing that this doesn't do is it doesn't like weight different amounts. Like it doesn't say like make a dungeon that has lots of hallways. So my other system has some weighting in it as well. So that might be something to like consider in it as well. You can see I still have the cough. Yeah, I'm just thinking about how I added like a noise filter at construction vehicles outside. So please throw a comment in the chat if you cannot hear my voice. I guess I'll know soon when I check my stream afterwards. But yeah, I think we pick up a lot of background noise even with this nice little mic I have. But working on that. I know people like good sound quality and stuff. I'll try my best to try different things. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been working on. I don't really have. Yeah, is this? Yeah. I don't really have too much else to show off at the moment. Yeah, let's look at see if this is like so whenever I do these procedural things, like the code is crazy, right? Like this crazy code. This is the algorithm for placing the rooms, and this is the old one that I kind of spun up myself. You can see it just like loops through the X and Y bounds. So I just basically say I want like a big grid, which it has limitations because I don't know. I mean, I guess you could fill a grid with different size things, right? It's just the way that I had visualized it in my mind was that if like you know, if you have one room next to another room and that room is longer than the other room, then you won't necessarily be able to, or with the other room you're not necessarily able to kind of like connect to, I don't know how to say this, but eventually it gets off track because if the rooms don't line up in an actual grid, then certain rooms might not be able to like connect to the room that should be below it or something like that, because maybe it's covering 2 rooms. So anyway, you just have to figure out how many units a room takes up, I guess. That would be kind of where I would have been going with this, but yeah. But yeah, one thing I have here is I have this like stream, and I have this random weight from stream. So these 2 things here allow for a couple things. This is just going, making it harder to spawn certain things. So there's like a certain type of room, and then this is a spawner room. So like I only want to spawn the spawner room 20% of the time. And then this is the start room, which is weird, but yeah, there you go. I don't know why that's part of the... Oh, okay, I see. Because we're trying to figure out what to do. But I think we almost always go here, I guess, in this choice. It's either one of these 2 rooms, and then at some point we set the value to a 2 or a 3, and then it does the start room and the thing. So the new version is a lot simpler, actually. It doesn't look simpler in my code. These are all different rooms that we have, but I have not refactored or made this pretty at all. Thank you. Game Master TV. Did you see the newer one? Did I show it? Did you? Here, let's go. Did you get to see this piece yet? Regenerate the map. So I'll show you the whole thing. So this is like a multi-level dungeon here. This should be like, I think like 12 rooms or something like that. And then we can bump it up. I'm gonna bump it up to 50 because I'm tired of pressing the button, but we can run around in here. And then you can zoom out. See, this is like probably like 52 rooms. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Game Master. Yeah, and I just threw together these, kind of prefabs of rooms and stuff. It's not like this is prototyping, right? Yeah. But I don't know, this could be pretty fun to run around in and do like a FPS shooter or something, right? Yeah. So this world generator, this is based on that tutorial by Ree. I have a function now in here that I call because I'm using some debug stuff to run it, but you can just run it right at the begin play if you wanted. And I have a room amount which you can change, and then it creates a starting room, and then from there it creates a thing. And the way that it works is these exits that's like the idea that really clicked for me in the tutorial was these like managing the exits. And then I added a way to like check the exits, like to see if they were blocked before we even tried to spawn a room, which I suggested to Ree. I don't know if he's added that yet, but that was one of my like additions to this. But a lot of it is very similar to his implementation. So even some of the function names and stuff like that. So, but I can't help myself when I'm doing a tutorial now to like have my own opinions. So. But there's always value in people's work, so seeing what someone else does may not necessarily be exactly what you copy, but you get the idea and you're like, oh yeah, that's a really great implementation. So he had some really cool stuff. So it's like over an hour long tutorial though. Oh, cool. So Game Master, you came from the UI tutorial. Yeah, I need to make more UI tutorials. I hope it seems like everyone really likes that one. Which one did you do? Was it the one with like the breakout clone with the ball bouncing around, or was it like the even simpler one that I had for um like just like creating a quick UI or something? I think the breakout one was the one that everyone seems to be coming from. I think it still holds up. I've definitely done some UI on this stream too, so if you have any questions about that tutorial, I know some people get tripped up, so we could do a live a live debug for you. But yeah, I think I don't know. I don't want to turn my total morning dev time into going through and debugging people's stuff, but I totally would help out every once in a while if people have questions. So actually, one of the things I love doing is like working with someone else on trying to figure out what's wrong with their game code and stuff. So it's a good time. Yeah. Yeah, so this starting room, you basically start it, and then this is basic. This actual this event right here is kind of like the basics for how this whole thing works. You spawn a room, you get the exits from this child. This he calls them folders. So you just basically make a scene component, and then you put all of your exits inside a scene component, and then you add them to a list. So then you have this giant master list of exits, and then when the dungeon generates, it can just query this whole list and figure out what's left, to do. And I think in my old one, I just had like these are the next three exits that you can use, and so it would just make like a kind of a linear dungeon, I guess. And the strength of the other dungeon generator is that it will the one thing that this does that I don't have figured out yet is that this will create that start and finish, and it will figure out, it will know that you can get from this blue room to the orange room at the end here. And I have it set up so that the orange room is always kind of like at the end of the walk, right? So like you generally won't get a orange room like right next to the blue room. So there's always like kind of like a traversal that you have to do through the dungeon to get to the end. The random spawner will block doors by accident, so that's the only thing that I don't have accounted for. But most of the time, the rooms themselves anyway will connect all the way to the end. So, yeah, they're killing me, I guess. Actually, this is, I think I'm not actually playing. It's just they're that's where the player character would be. So they're all walking over there. So that's the one strength of this. So the one thing I have to figure out with the new procedural generation is figuring out how do you make an end room, right? But I don't know if I actually need that for the samurai game, so I might just like table it for now, because this is the code for generating the actual thing. So I've spread it out because I've done different parts. And I think you'll find Ree's code is actually a lot more, a lot nicer looking. But I added a bunch of my own craziness to this. That's why it got like, there was like a general through line, and then I was like, you know what, I want to add. So I've got two different things in here. So here's the exit list, right? So we spawn the next room. We want to check, are there any exits left? If there are, we're gonna check something. So if there aren't any more exits, I just throw a debug. But probably should do something else here, depending on whether or not we've hit an acceptable amount. And so far this hasn't failed, which is really cool. But I think if I make more restrictive rooms, the maze could fail. It could stop. But yeah, so we have a random select here. You just pick a random piece of the array. So that's really cool. Very simple. And then we set that exit point. So like we're like, okay, here's the exit point we're going to use. We get the child component of that exit point, which is a box collider. So this is a thing that Procedural didn't do. And then with that box collider, we check to see if there's any overlaps. And if there's an overlap, then we know that the exit has landed on a room that's already there, and we don't want to build a room on top of it. So if we get that, we say, oh yeah, we got an overlapping room. And that's why this needs to be cleaned up. But basically, if there is something there, then we want to say, this exit's bad, let's skip it. And then I remove it from the list so that we don't check it ever again. That way we don't iterate over the same blocked rooms, right? Because eventually you get rooms next to each other, but maybe we didn't like add them next to each other because they just like, went next to each other. So yeah. And then yeah, all right, hold on one second. All right. I'm back. Yeah, so where was I? I was explaining this. So yeah, so we check for missing. We check for exits that are already overlapping with something else, and we remove them from the exits. I think this is another place where we might want to like do some sort of other check, like are these rooms connecting? Because there are some times where we'll block off a room or something like that. Like we haven't done blocking off yet, but we don't want to be like, oh, this room is, we never added a connector to this exit, so let's block it. But you might actually have a throughway that we want to keep. So anyway, I don't have that built out yet. And then if we have a good exit, then we go over here, and you can see I've stretched out all this stuff. So I can actually, maybe I'll just improve this while we're talking about it. I need to encapsulate a bunch of this stuff, I think, is what I'm going to do. But so yeah, so we have a room list, which is just a list of whatever rooms I have available. So these are the rooms I have. I've got two staircases, one up and one down, which almost look exactly the same, but they're the elevation's different. One starts at the top, like at the top floor, and then one is on the bottom floor. It's important for kind of making it so the game can go up and down, basically. I don't know. Hard to explain. Took me a little bit to figure out why dungeons were only going up, Anyway, this way you can have kind of up and down. So if you wanted only a dungeon that went deeper, you would only use the downstairs, basically. But then you can't do loops. Like if you wanted your dungeon to go down and then find another place that would bring you back up again, you need it upstairs. So anyway, we can make this smarter, right? You could say like on level 1, don't ever use upstairs, and then you could have a dungeon that goes down. But right now, it just picks from these 4. It doesn't have a weight on them. So this is where my old implementation would say, this is cool and all, but let's do this based on a number, and let's have different weights. So that's where we would go here. Also, these like I said before, these streams seem to be these random numbers seem to be the same random number when you start, so you have to use that random stream stuff to really make it work. Like, see if I do it right now, right? Oops, sorry. Okay, maybe not. Let's try again. Ready? Okay, I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are randomized. For some reason, I feel like I get the same combination, but I guess there are. I've done it enough times that I've looked at all the combinations or something similar. Okay, so yeah, so we spawn it, and then we have the exit point, and you can spawn the room right on the exit point because they're all like matched up properly with their like starting geometry, like where their origin point is. So yeah, pretty cool. What else do we have here? So yeah, then we're just checking this base. The room base has like all of the stuff that we need to check, so we can get the exits. We add them to a list. Oh my god, look at all this horrible junk here, right? Yeah, so this piece here is we want to make an object for the latest room, and then what we do is we check to see if it's overlapping with other rooms. So we check the exits, and we just drop out if the exit's bad, but then we still want to check if the room is bad, because sometimes like if a room is bigger than a normal size or something, or it's like a hallway, it might overlap, and then if it overlaps, then we'll have like rooms on top of rooms. Even though it's pretty hard to do with the exits being eliminated, but you could still do it if you like your rooms are different shapes. And also, I think the stairs were having problems like that too. So this will fix that if you have the right collision box on all your rooms. Yeah, so it does a bunch of stuff, and then if it detects the overlap, it removes all the exits that room had. Oh, it removes the exit that we chose, and then it destroys that room because we did spawn this room this time. Yeah, and then it goes back right to the beginning and tries to spawn again. So yeah, this is all slated for cleanup, but you can say try to spawn a room again after the room collision. So now we have one less exit, and we spawn again, and it's pretty performant. It's pretty fast, so it doesn't like loop forever and ever and ever trying to do this. I had a lot of times where my previous implementation would like spin or come up with like a non-answer, you know. So anyway, there's more testing to be done here, right? We don't have all the rooms that we need. This is all my debug code actually. I just put it in the level for now, but I have like the home key generates the world, the page up adds more rooms, the page down removes the rooms, and then delete resets the whole level, and then escape quits. So yeah, this was just like a fast place to do it. And then I have the 1 and the 2. 1 will put you in spectator mode, and 2 will put you back into the third person controller. So it just unpossesses and possesses stuff. Spectator pawn is just a pawn that like exists already in Unreal, so you can just spectate, which is good if you just want something that can fly around, right? And it's pretty quick, and then your character remains there, and as long as they don't fall all the way through the floor, I think it will stay there. I don't think I have like a spawning mechanism. Why am I not? I'm not getting back into my guy. Oh. Okay. Ah, weird. Okay, let's do. Well, I broke my my. Okay, ready? Spectator. The other thing that the spectator can do is it will basically teleport the third person controller. So, wow, what's wrong with it? Oh no, I am controlling him. Okay, good. Yeah, so like so you can do this. You can go 1, and then I want to be at the top, and then you can. So this is a good thing to implement, I think, in any game that you have, right? You can kind of hack your game. So cool. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. So I think I'm getting close to where I want to implement that into the samurai game. So, so yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I gotta start getting ready for the rest of my day. But I wanted to do a quick update here. So, thanks Game Master TV for coming by. Yeah, if you have any questions about the UI tutorials, let me know. Uh, yeah, like I said, I don't really want to spend the entire time debugging people's stuff, but because I do have a somewhat of a deadline for the samurai game, so I do want to spend some of my time in the mornings doing the work here. But if people do have questions about some of my tutorials that I made in the past, I'm happy to try to help you answer them. So I try to respond in the comments, but you know, writing out kind of a solution might not be the best way. So if you want, I can demo how to create a UI or something like that live if people, because it's easy to miss a step, right? And I try my best to be when I'm doing a tutorial to like really say like, and now I'm clicking this and doing that. But you know, it's easy to like in Unreal, it's easy to hit a checkbox and uh, and say, oh, I'm hitting this checkbox, and then a person might not hear you say that because it's like one little simple thing that, and it just won't work if you didn't hit that checkbox. That's a big running joke with Unreal. If you don't hit a certain checkbox, things won't work, right? So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I think we're gonna stop the stream here, but hopefully tomorrow we'll be back to the samurai game. I guess maybe I'll tool around with this procedural generation stuff a little bit more, but I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, now I'm making like a roguelike dungeon generator, and I don't really need that at the moment. It would be cool to have in my toolkit, but actually, if you've been following anything that I've been working on in the past, you'll see I have this idea for like creating like a toolkit for my games so that I can just create games faster. So you see, I created in this project, I created a toolbox thing. I called it a toolbox because that's what Stephen King calls his writing toolbox. So I thought that's a cool idea. And so right now, this one just has the random level in it. So I want to make a project that just has a folder called Toolbox, and then all of the external components that I've been kind of creating, like some of the UI stuff I have in the Samurai game, I would put in the Toolbox, and then we can just import the Toolbox stuff into any project that we're starting, right? So that's kind of the idea. And so I'm just following this folder format where we'll just put the different features inside a folder called Toolbox in content, and then it will always match any game that we're doing, right? So we don't want to put this the tools inside the game folder. So that's the idea. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow.